More on this, joining me now live from North Yorkshire is former Mayor of Middlesbrough, Andy Preston. Andy, great to have you here with us on TRT World. So the rioters often claim to protect British values and culture, yet the recent riots have caused significant harm to innocent civilians and damaged property, which I think contradicts with the very principles of law and order. Surely there is no way this behaviour can be justified as a legitimate form of protest.
Yes, completely. 100%. You're quite right. These riots are the most un-British thing that I can imagine. Britain is a country known for tolerance. It's known for democracy. It's known for being able to voice your opinion safely and fairly, and that's gone temporarily. What's confusing in people's minds is that there is a far right element. Perhaps a third of those demonstrating or a quarter are far-right people. The others are actually normal people who are uncomfortable with immigration and want to express it. But the far-right thugs have captured the whole movement and basically made it look like the violence is stronger than it is. The public support for the violence is very, very limited. It's tiny. Most people believe in peace and decency. And can I say one more thing? Sorry, it's a very long answer to a short question. Although these scenes that you see are awful, they are chaotic and they're scary, the riots in the UK are very subdued compared to regular problems in the USA and other countries. People mustn't have the impression that the UK is in chaos, because what we have is large pockets of disobedience without it being chaotic.
Now, Andy, if you look at social media and television in the United Kingdom right now, of course you see far-right figures repeatedly blaming high immigration levels for the United Kingdom's social and economic problems. But many studies have shown that austerity measures introduced by the Conservative government have played a more significant role in these crises. So why does the far-right and some politicians in the United Kingdom continue to deflect responsibility away from these policies?
I think the truth is that the far right across Europe has become emboldened. And what I mean by that is they're more confident, more audacious, and the far right politicians are becoming more popular. So, and I don't need to tell you about the increased vote share in France and Belgium and Germany and other places. The same thing is happening here. But at the same time, a lot of decent people are uncomfortable with levels of immigration. I have to push you back slightly. I don't think that austerity has caused this. I think what's caused this is a sense that immigration is out of control. I think there is a housing crisis. There are too few homes, and the NHS, just our health service, just like across Europe, is under a lot of pressure. And people are being told that the reason for this is immigration, which isn't really completely true. And people are being whipped up. And after a couple of
Right. To that point, Andy, if I may, about immigration, statistics from the Office for National Statistics indicate that migrants contribute more in taxes than they receive in benefits. So I don't know why many in the United Kingdom among the protesters believe that immigration is to blame for the current crises.
I think that the relationship between immigration and the health service, where many immigrants work, but also many immigrants use, and the relationship between other public services is a very complex one. But I think what we've got is an emboldened far right across the whole of Europe, that where there are problems with housing, with healthcare and other things, the far right, as it always does, is pointing to immigrants and saying they are the problem. And of course, when people are fearful, they're scared, when their sense of identity is disappearing, they latch on to these ideas. It's human nature. And that's why it was great to see last night such huge, huge anti-racist demonstrations that I think have reassured and reminded lots of British people that the vast majority of us are completely 100% against this.
Right. Now, Andy, of course, social media platforms have been instrumental in spreading misinformation about the Southport attack, falsely labeling the British-born attacker as an undocumented Muslim migrant. And it seems to me these rioters are falsely targeting Muslims living in the country, are they not?
Yes, they are falsely targeting Muslims. I think the truth is that Muslims are currently bearing the brunt of this. There is definitely an element of Islamophobia, but it's a general, for most people, it's a general discomfort with the levels of immigration. Levels of immigration in the UK are very, very high for lots of reasons. in particular, actually, numbers of students who've been allowed to bring families and things like that. But it's causing increased pressure on an existing housing problem, housing crisis, and increased pressure on other services. And people see that and are being whipped up by the far right at a time when sensitivities are very, very high.
Now, Andy, before I let you go, a YouGov poll found that 44% of Britons are proud of the colonial history, with many unaware of the extensive atrocities committed. Given this context, how do you think, how can far-right narratives justify a sense of moral superiority when historical and ongoing racism are deeply rooted in colonial legacies?
I think that obviously the past is a completely different place. You know, different rules apply, different ethics, different codes of behaviour. For people my age, I'm 58. I was brought up to believe that Britain is the best country in the world in lots of ways, and its history was golden and glorious. And I think that for people my age and even older who've lived perhaps through the Second World War, they are seeing a crumbling of the image of their country in their mind and other people's minds. And that's deeply destabilizing. People's sense of identity and national identity is being challenged by immigration and by other factors. And that's very destabilizing. So when a politician pops up and says, well, actually, the reason you're uncomfortable is immigration and we can fix that, it wins support. And it's always won support across the world since the dawn of time. Immigrants get the blame, and that's what's going on.
Andy, Preston, thanks very much for talking to us here on TRT World. Really appreciate your taking out the time.
Thank you.